What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and we are back for another episode of the 5 takeaways. And obviously today we'll be talking about that wonderful North London derby yesterday, where Tottenham took a 2-0 victory over the scum Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in a game where you have to say Tottenham hardly even got our first gear.
Yeah, it was pretty simple for us to defend what we had. 2 moments of quality, which all we needed when you have Son and Kane on the pitch, and the way we defended didn't give Arsenal a chance, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic the way we played, we approached the game, and it was great from Mourinho, the way he set up the team.
Was this the kind of easiest North London derby that we've had to endure over the time?
Arguably, in terms of the amount of chances we gave up, you would say yes. In terms of how comfortable I felt, you'd probably say yes. In terms of how easy the win was, I'd say maybe the last one at White Hart Lane was up there. But I think in terms of how comfortable I was throughout the 90 minutes, I'd have to say this is probably the most comfortable I've felt.
All right, well, let's get into the 5 takeaways. And number 1, the first takeaway that we're going to be talking about is that terrific Toby Alderweireld.
Yeah. An unbelievable performance, coming back from injury. I'm not sure whether he was rushed back or not, or you have to leave that one up to Jose, but he was absolutely sensational once again, coming back, and he's really stepped up his game yet again this season, after a couple of years of poor form. And the stats bear that out. He won more aerial duels than anyone else. He won more ground duels than anyone else. He won 5 of his 6 ground duels. And he made more clearances than any other defender on the pitch. And he was absolutely fantastic. The only one time in the whole game he got isolated with Aubameyang. He dealt with it efficiently, blocking his shot. And I thought, this is really Toby back to his best.
I mean, we've all been culprits of it over the last couple of years, calling Toby Alderweireld weaning of his powers, his legs going, what have you. But it's clear for everyone to see now, all that we needed was to protect him. Right back, left back, CDM, you know, back then we had Rose, Walker, Wanyama, Dembele, and now finally we're protecting him with Reguilon, Aurier and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and it's showing the class of the man mountain that is Toby Alderweireld. Like you said, getting back to his best, if not back to his best, and maybe, just maybe, we sold Jan Vertonghen now a bit too early.
Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, because now we're seeing Toby back to his best. If you put Jan Vertonghen in the right system, could he have had one more year at Spurs or whatnot? Look, that's in the past now, remains to be seen, but all we know is Toby is playing some of the best football he's ever played at Spurs, and it's great to see.
All right, let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is the LACATHREAT. Lack of chances, lack of goals, lack of everything for Arsenal.
Yeah, look, they really struggled to create anything, and the way Arsenal was set up to play, the way they tried to break us down, it just wasn't working. They had 69% possession yesterday to Tottenham's 31.
That must be one of the most in the North London derby.
Probably, especially with the least chances created, which they did. They had 11 shots to our 6, but yet we had 3 shots on target. They had 2. They had 44 crosses. We only had 7. 5 of our crosses come from Son. Yet Willian made 16 crosses yesterday, which is more than our whole team combined, and just Willian. Yet they only found someone on 3 occasions, and only one of them did they make Lloris call for Lloris into action, and that was Lacazette late in the second half.
Yeah.
So, and those 3 shots had a combined XG as well of only 0.2. So they really were low chances of scoring in terms of those crosses going to the net. Arteta banged on last week about how they need to, they had 33 crosses, and if they have those amount of crosses or more every game, then they're going to start getting goals. But they had 11 more crosses in this game and no goals. So yeah,
he's
running out of ideas.
Lack of ideas as well, to be honest.
Definitely.
I mean, the guy Arteta, it seems as though he's been put in this job way too early. It seems as though the players aren't really playing for the badge at the moment. You look at certain players in Aubameyang, who was on fire the last couple of years, and now he can't hit a barn door for toffee. You're looking at the defence, who started the season quite well. You got to say they look a bit shaky at the back now. So Arsenal are in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble, and I don't remember seeing an Arsenal team that were 15th in the league and potentially 16th by the end of tonight.
We'll get into that a bit later.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 3. And number 3 is that clinical Heung-min Son yet again.
Yeah, he has been absolutely fantastic in the start of the season, and that goal was another more evidence of how clinical he has been in front of goal. It's actually quite ridiculous. If you look at the stats, he is outperforming his expected goals, his XG, by 6.12, which is far and away the highest in the Premier League. The next nearest is Ward-Prowse at 3.29, so he's double the nearest person in terms of how much he's outperforming his expected goals. If he was an average finisher, he would be on about 4 goals this season, but because he's so elite, because he's scoring from really difficult angles and difficult finishes, he's on 10 goals and he's outperforming it by 6.12, and he's also a big factor of why Kane is outperforming his expected assists by about 5, because he's laying it off to Son, who's getting into these dangerous areas around the box and just finishing them expertly, and he's been absolutely amazing in this first part of the season. People would argue maybe that because he's outperforming his XG by so much, maybe it's not sustainable, but we'll have to see by the end of the season where he is, because at the moment it's quite frankly ridiculous.
Frightening how good he's become. It really
6.12 is it's unbelievable.
And you talk
unbelievable.
You talk about average strikers and their XG. I mean, Aubameyang, he's probably outscoring his XG at the moment.
Well, because his XG is very low at the moment, very low. He's not getting the chances, and he's not getting the goals, and that's the fact of the matter with Aubameyang. I think his only XG points which were any significance when he got a penalty against United. Apart from that, it's been really, really low for him. Yeah. But Son, his finishing's ridiculous.
What a guy, Heung-min Son. I mean, this guy going from strength to strength, season upon season, literally improving every season. Don't forget, he won our Player of the Year the last 2 years now. And
might be up for it again.
He's definitely going to be up for it again, and definitely up for Goal of the Year again.
Yeah, for sure with that goal. What a finish.
All right, let's move on to number 4. And number 4 is the King of the North.
Who else but Harry Kane, who's now the leading goal scorer in all North London derbies with 11 goals in 13 North London derbies, beating Adebayor and Bobby Smith to the record. He loves the North London derby, and those stats absolutely bear it out. He loves scoring against the Arsenal, and that's his first one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against them as well. So he'll be absolutely delighted with that one. Absolutely clinical finishing off the crossbar, giving Leno absolutely no chance. He also became the quickest player to reach 10 assists the most assists after 11 games, which is 10, I believe it's level, or I think it might be one more than Mesut Ozil, which is absolutely fantastic for him as well. And he became the second quickest player to reach 250 goals, just behind Lionel Messi. So he's a record breaker against Arsenal as well. Absolutely fantastic day for Harry Kane, and yet again proving his worth.
I'm pretty sure Mesut Ozil's got more than 10 assists this season on Fortnite. But anyway, let's move on to the last takeaway from the game, and that is the Arteta woes growing.
Yeah, it really is. He's really had a really poor start to the season, it must be said. Worst start ever to a Premier League season for Arsenal. Worst points tally after 11 games since the 80s. First manager to lose 2 North London their first 2 North London derbies.
Music to my ears, all this. Keep bringing me these stats.
First manager to lose 2 North London derbies. Their first 2 North London derbies since the 60s. 10 goals he scored in 11 games. 6 defeats in his first 11 games. And as of this video, they're 15th in the league, though subject to Brighton's game against Southampton. So Arteta really is struggling at the moment, no doubt about it. By and large, it seems as though people were saying that Arteta was unlucky at the start of the season. What I think what's the reality is, he was probably lucky last season. That's probably what's more likely at the moment. He really it looks like this job.
It was a simple manager bounce, as simple as that.
Yeah, it looks like it. At the moment, it seems as though that this job is too big for him. At the time of recording, he really has struggled badly, and managers have been sacked for better form than Arteta's on currently.
Including Unai
Emery. And it's a big worry for him, for Arsenal. At the end of that match, in his post-match interview, he kind of sounded like a manager who's lost for ideas, and he doesn't know. He said, doesn't matter what formation you play, you can play this formation or that formation, but at the end of the day, you have to get the ball in the back of the net, and we're not doing that. And it kind of smacks of a guy who's running out of ideas of how to get this team playing again. and everyone says trust the process. Well, this is where the process is heading.
Keep trusting it. Keep trusting it. Maybe once he gets sacked from Arsenal, if Pep doesn't want him back putting out the cones, maybe Jose will hire him to put out the cones for him.
And the fact of the matter is, Arteta, he was trying to play last season in the cup final, kind of like how Mourinho played. But the fact of the matter is, he just doesn't have the players to do that. The defenders aren't as good. He's not as good as at coaching defensive shape as Mourinho. And yeah, he got 2 wins against City and Chelsea, but looks like they were paper over the cracks.
Big time. And you've got to say, like you said already, I think that this job was way too big for him. I personally believe a manager of his... he never managed a game in his life before he went to Arsenal. And what kind of guy is going to be able to do a good job there? They needed an experienced guy. They needed a Simeone. They needed an Allegri. Someone that had been there, done it, got the T-shirt. Not someone that can be good in the next 5-10 years. You know what I mean?
Well, looks like I went for the cheap option. And
they went for the cheap
option.
As
they say, they get what you pay. You get what you pay for.
Exactly, and they have definitely got what they paid for. Now they are 15th in the league, potentially 16th by the end of the day, and I am loving every second of it. I'm not going to lie. So long may it continue.
You and Jurgen Klinsmann.
Exactly, Jurgen Klinsmann, loving it. I'm loving it. And I'm sure you're loving it as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure all you guys out there are loving it as well. The Arsenal decline is absolutely music to all our ears.
It's in full force.
It's in full force. The meltdown's in full force. And now already the Arsenal fan base are split. Just a year on after the appointment of Arteta, they're split.
Less than a year on, I think.
Less, whether they want him in or out. It's more or less a year, isn't it? Whether they want him in or out.
You do the okey cokey with the Arsenal. That's it. That's how they've been in the past couple of years. 3 years. Whoa. 5-6 years.
They're basically Spurs of the 90s now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it seems like at the moment. It's great.
All right, so that was the 5 takeaways. Let me run through what the takeaways were for you one more time. Number 1 was the terrific Toby Alderweireld. Number 2 was the LACATHREAT. Number 3 was the clinical Son. Number 4 was Harry Kane, King of the North. And number 5 was the Arteta woes continue. That was the 5 takeaways. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of our takeaways. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs!